So here it is.
Ooh, yeah.
But watch yourself, Mark. Because this scalpel just got sharper. That's so cheesy. So this is KTM's brand new 890 Duke R. What a bike.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, they're saying the scalpel just got sharper. So obviously we tested the 790 Duke last year, or this year, sorry, in July.
Yeah.
And we were massive fans of that bike, Mark, weren't we?
100%. Great bike to ride, great handling, tremendous engine, real showpiece of a motor. And
It had loads of go, didn't it?
Yeah, loads of torque, instant performance in every gear. Once you got it right to the very top of the rev range, then it runs out of puff. But where you want the performance is where you got the performance.
Yes.
So for road use, particularly, huge fun.
Huge fun.
But of course, like with the 1290, what they've decided to do is kind of just dial everything up a couple of notches,
yes.
and we've ended up with this bike, the 890R.
Well, so 890, I think, you know, for us, I think that was a surprise, you know, like as in, maybe if you were on the inside lines of KTM, you might be thinking, okay, well, you know, perhaps they'll make an 890 rather than a 790. For me, it was a surprise because I don't think either of us in that, when we rode the bike, were thinking, God, this needs some extra power.
No.
So, you know, now it's up to 120 horsepower,
Yeah.
which is a real, you know, power height. This thing is going to be rapid.
Well, there's two fundamentals here, aren't there? You know, because it's the R, there's a lowered weight, so you've lost 3 kilos, and they've done some very clever things to ensure the weight's been dropped, and they've improved performance. They've upped the performance. The engine power has gone up. That, in some ways, is a kind of happy coincidence because with the new emissions legislation, the Euro 5 legislation, they've had to do, lots of the manufacturers have had to do many different things with their bikes to ensure that they can pass that emissions test. And the way they've achieved that with this is increase the capacity of the motor. And of course, the added benefit of that is more performance, more power. So not only have you got, and we'll go into this, I'm sure, you know, better suspension, better brakes, better electronics, but you've got more performance, you've got lighter weight. Those things only add up to one thing: faster acceleration, faster top speed, more torque, more performance everywhere.
And a sharper tool, basically.
Yes.
And actually, that's probably the one area that we said in our review. If there was some areas, there was probably room for a 790 Duke R or a sharper version of that in terms of the brakes and the suspension.
But there was
that's exactly what they've done.
Yeah, and there was an expectation from KTM's customer base and beyond that this bike was going to come. I think the surprise is that they have up that capacity and given even more performance. But in terms of the technical aspects of the bike, where they've made improvements is pretty much across the board, isn't it?
It is. So we start off with the suspension.
Yeah.
So now this is a fully adjustable WP Apex suspension. I've just come off a month of riding Husqvarna Vitpillen, which had the WP suspension, and I tell you what, the difference it makes is massive. I just really think that.
Yeah.
I mean, it handled so well, that bike. It was, you know, nice suspension. I mean, it's not like it's rock hard or anything, but by the time you really push it, and I did take it on track, you know, it really is a fantastic package. And I think this is going to make the bike so much sharper. Obviously now it's fully adjustable as well, so if you're a bit heavier or a bit lighter, you can really dial that in to make it a better ride.
Some of the focus around this is that potential owners, or I assume that KTM's understanding is that potential owners are going to want to track the bike.
Yeah.
So not only do you get adjustable suspension, but you obviously get an adjustable suite of electronics. There is a tech pack that you can add to this bike, as we know. Within that, you've got quick shifter, and you've also got a 9-way traction control, multiple adjustments, so you can really tailor the bike. So if you're going to use it on road, but then you want to take it on track and you want to do all of the different things that you want to do to set the bike up for you, you can do it with this new one. And of course, added to that is the improved brakes. You've got Brembo Stylema.
Really impressive braking system.
Yeah, and what we were talking about this before, but what they've actually done to lower the weight is they've kind of peppered holes in that caliper to reduce the weight and improve airflow to ensure that your brakes don't overheat. So they've thought of lots of different things with this new bike.
I mean, and that's actually where some of the weight savings coming from.
Yeah.
Is the Stylema brake.
Yes, and the tyres as well.
Can you imagine that Stylema brake? Because it's actually the same one that's on the Duke R, for example.
The 1290.
The 1290 Super Duke R. Imagine that coupled with this weight. I mean, this is going to stop on a sixpence. It's going to be unbelievable braking.
When we were in Italy and we were talking to one of the guys on the stand there, he was saying that is the best Brembo radial caliper you can put on a motorcycle right now. That is their top of the range product. So they've not scrimped here. Obviously that is reflected in the price somewhat, but you are getting a much higher caliber of hard parts on your bike, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, if you were to take those individual parts and then add that to the 790 price, you're going to be way more than that. Even just for the brakes, you know, they're going to cost you you know, quite a lot of money. And the other thing that they've done, and where the other weight savings coming from and the handling improvement, is the tyres. So, you know, I think with this 890 Duke R, the purse strings have been released a little bit.
Yes.
And we're not on Maxxis tyres anymore, we're on Michelin Power Cups. And I haven't rode these tyres myself, but I have rode some of the top-end Michelin products, and they are phenomenally sticky tyres, and I think that's going to transform it again and make it, you know, a really competitive machine.
I mean, it is a serious bit of kit, this, isn't it? We already know that you know the foundation of this bike, the 790, that base product is an outstanding product. Yes, you might concede that they built it to a budget, but that's fine, because that makes that bike attainable for a bigger audience.
It does.
And actually, the sum of its parts makes a fantastic motorcycle. All they've done now is said, okay, that's your base bike, bang, we're going to put on all of the top of the range pieces, we're going to up the power, and all of a sudden you've got a serious weapon.
You have.
A serious weapon. What's going to be super interesting, and I know we were talking about this off camera, is how this is going to stand up against its competitors, MT-09 SP, and of course the ubiquitous Triumph 765 Street Triple RS. They're now on a very similar level price-wise. I think you were saying this is 10...
This is 10,399, so 10,4, and the Street Triple is 10.3-ish, 10.4.
Very, very similar.
It's so competitive, about the same power. You know, you've got a really seriously competitive machine. Obviously, people were comparing the 790 Duke to the Street Triple 765.
Yes.
And, you know, was it enough to get there? And arguably not. This one is a real contender for that.
Absolutely. I mean, without any shadow of a doubt. And I think you really are going light for light now. I think there's some suggestion, wouldn't you, with the original 790, that you're not quite on a par in terms of hardware. Now they are. Yeah. So when they go head to head, it's going to be a very, very interesting scenario, isn't it? I think the other quick things that we ought to mention, aesthetically, obviously, you know, if it ain't broke, then there's nothing to fix really. The 790 is a great looking bike, so the overall profile is pretty much the same. However, seat cowl, you can have that as standard, and you can kind of choose whether or not you have a pillion seat or you have the seat cowl instead, and I think we're both agreed that's better. Yeah. Especially, you know, ultimately, if this is for a lot of people, it's going to be a track day tool, that's the way to go, isn't it? And one other thing I forgot to mention as well is handlebar position is slightly changed. A lot of people look at the bikes and think, not quite the same, but this is actually a shallower bar. Okay. So that loop on the bar is shallower, so it's kind of pushing you.
More aggressive.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Aside from that, obviously new colourway.
New colourway.
I think we've covered it all. Actually,
yeah,
I think we have.
It's about 1,500 quid more than the base. I think that's a bit of a no-brainer, to be honest. If I was looking for the 790. I would be, you know what, let's do another 1,500 and let's get this one.
Well, look, if you like a PCP, this is the way to go, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, a really, really, really interesting, compelling package. It'd be fascinating to get the chance to have a go on this at some point in the new year.
Hopefully it's going to happen. On paper, at least, and from what it looks like, I think both of us are massive fans, and you just know this is going to be a great bike. So I'm really excited to ride it next year.
Absolutely. And if you like the video, please press the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notifications button, and we're going to see you in the next video from the NEC.